This is not just another motivational talk. This is a wake-up call. If you've ever felt stuck, if you've ever wondered why your life isn't where you want it to be, the answer isn't out there. It's in what you do every single day. In this speech, inspired by the teachings of Tony Robbins, you're going to discover 3 simple but powerful daily habits that can change your life forever. Let's dive in. Do you know what the most powerful force in your life really is? It's not money, it's not intelligence, it's not the opportunities that fall into your lap. It's your state. The state you live in determines the quality of every thought you think, every decision you make, and every action you take. Because if you wake up in a negative, exhausted, defeated state, you're not going to chase opportunities. You're not going to bring energy into your relationships. You're not going to believe in yourself enough to take that next bold step. But if you can master your state every single day, if you can choose to live in a peak state rather than a suffering one, everything in your life begins to transform. Think about it. How many times have you had days where nothing in your environment changed? The same job, the same bills, the same people around you. Yet one day you felt unstoppable, alive, powerful, and another day you felt drained, hopeless, and small. The difference wasn't your circumstances. The difference was your state of being. The energy you allowed yourself to live in determined how you experienced that day. And the truth is, your state is something you can master. It's not random. It's not something that happens to you. It's something you can deliberately shift every single day. I want you to imagine this for a moment. You wake up in the morning, the alarm goes off, and you instantly feel heavy. Maybe you didn't sleep enough. Maybe your brain starts racing with all the problems you think you need to solve. And if you let that state dominate you, what happens? You'll move slowly, you'll hesitate, you'll scroll through your phone for an hour, and before you know it, the day's already taking control of you. Instead of you taking control of the day, that's what most people do. They wake up and they surrender their state to chance. But successful people, the ones who live extraordinary lives, they prime their state before the world has a chance to touch them. They deliberately shift their body, their focus, in their energy so they can start the day as the creator, not as the victim, because when you own your state, you own your life. So, how do you shift your state daily? It begins with your body. Motion creates emotion. If you change the way you move, you change the way you feel. Think about the last time you felt unstoppable. Your chest was open, your shoulders were back. You were breathing deeply, you moved with certainty. And the last time you felt depressed or defeated, what did your body look like? Shoulders slouched, head down, shallow breathing, weak voice. The body and the mind are interconnected. If you want to change your emotions, you start by changing your physiology. This means the moment you wake up, don't allow your body to stay in the position of defeat. Stand tall, breathe deeply, move your body. It doesn't have to be complicated. Jump up and down, do push-ups, stretch, and dance to a song that lights you up. Do whatever it takes to create energy, because energy is not something you wait for. Energy is something you generate. And if you start your day generating it, you will carry that power into everything else you do. But it's not just the body, it's also your focus. Wherever focus goes, energy flows. If you wake up and immediately focus on your problems, your failures, everything that's missing from your life, what kind of state do you think you're going to create? You'll be drained before the day even begins. But if you train your mind to focus on what's already working, what you're grateful for, what you're excited about, suddenly your brain shifts. Gratitude destroys fear. Excitement destroys hesitation. You can't be fearful and grateful at the same time, just like you can't be stressed and excited at the same time. The brain can't hold those states simultaneously. You choose which one to feed by directing your focus. So imagine starting your day by asking yourself powerful questions. What am I grateful for right now? Who do I love? Who loves me? What's one thing I can do today to create progress in my life? Those questions pull your mind into a peak state, into a resourceful, empowered state. And when your mind is in that state, the decisions you make, the actions you take, are entirely different from the ones you'd make if you stayed in stress or fear. Now let's talk about language. The words you use shape the way you experience reality. If you tell yourself, I'm exhausted, I'm overwhelmed, I'm stuck, your nervous system believes it, your body responds to those commands. But if instead you say, I am strong, I am resourceful, I will find a way, suddenly your mind begins to search for solutions instead of problems. That's why you have to be careful with the language you use daily, because words are not just sounds, they are triggers for your state. And here's the truth most people never realize: you don't have to wait for life to give you a reason to feel amazing. You can create it on demand. You can create happiness by shifting your body, focusing on gratitude, and speaking words of strength. You don't need an external reason to feel good. If you make your emotions dependent on external circumstances, you will always be a victim. But if you can generate them from within, you become unstoppable. So here's the challenge every single day. Before you step into the world, before you answer emails, before you check your phone, take 10 to 15 minutes to shift your state. Move your body like you mean it. Breathe deeply. Ask yourself empowering questions. Speak words of certainty. Prime yourself for the day, because if you don't program your mind, the world will. And the world is filled with stress, fear, and distractions that will steal your energy if you don't guard it. Some people say, Tony, I don't have time for that. But let me ask you this, do you have time to live the same stressed, unhappy, unproductive life over and over again? Because that's what's costing you more than anything. 10 minutes to shift your state can give you hours of clarity, energy, and productivity. It's not about time, it's about priorities. And I know what some of you might be thinking. Well, I don't feel like it. I don't feel motivated. Let me tell you something, you don't need to feel like it, you need to do it. Motivation comes after you take action, not before. The moment you start moving your body, the moment you start focusing on gratitude, your brain chemistry shifts. Dopamine, serotonin, endorphins, they flood your system. You begin to feel alive again. But if you wait for the feeling before you act, you'll wait forever. The key is to act first and the feeling will follow. You see, life is happening for you, not to you. But you only recognize that truth if you live in the right state. Because when you're in a suffering state, life feels like it's happening to you. You feel powerless. But when you're in a peak state, life feels like it's happening for you. Challenges become opportunities. Setbacks become lessons and pain becomes fuel for growth. That's the power of mastering your state. And the beautiful thing is, it's not complicated. It's simple. Most of us have been conditioned to believe we need years of therapy, endless motivation, or perfect circumstances to feel good. But the truth is, it only takes a moment to shift your state, one decision to move your body, one decision to focus on gratitude, one decision to use empowering language. In a moment, your entire world can change because your perception shifts. And when your perception shifts, your reality shifts. Gratitude, it's one of the most overlooked forces in human life, yet it is the single most powerful emotion that can instantly transform your experience of reality. You see, when you're grateful, fear disappears. When you're grateful, anger dissolves. When you're grateful, scarcity turns into abundance. Gratitude is not just a nice idea, it is a weapon against suffering. And if you can build gratitude into your daily habits, you'll not only feel better, you'll create the kind of mindset that attracts more of what you want into your life. But let's be honest, most people don't practice gratitude deliberately. They wait for big things to happen, a promotion, a gift, some lucky break, before they feel thankful. And here's the problem with that. If you make gratitude conditional on external circumstances, you'll rarely feel it. Life isn't designed to constantly hand you wins on a silver platter. Gratitude isn't about waiting for life to give you a reason. Gratitude is about creating the reason yourself every single day. I want you to think about this right now. No matter how many challenges you're facing, there are things in your life that someone else is praying for. The fact that you can hear my voice, that you have access to technology, that you have breath in your lungs and a heartbeat inside your chest, that's a gift. But the human brain is wired for survival, not gratitude. It's wired to focus on what's missing, what's dangerous, what could go wrong. That's why you have to train it. Gratitude is like a muscle. If you don't work it, it atrophies. But if you build it, it becomes one of your greatest strengths. So how do you do it? You practice daily. You don't just think, yeah, I'm grateful for my family. I'm grateful for my health. That's surface level, you feel it. You close your eyes, you put your hand on your heart, and you breathe into the emotion. You see the face of someone you love, and you allow yourself to feel the warmth, the connection, the blessing of having them in your life. You remember a moment when you overcame something you thought was impossible, and you let that pride and joy fill your body. You even choose to feel grateful for the challenges, because those challenges forged the strength that's inside you today. When you practice gratitude like this, something miraculous happens. You shift out of fear and scarcity, and you move into a state of abundance. You can't feel lack and gratitude at the same time. It's impossible. Gratitude rewires the brain, strengthens the heart, and elevates your spirit. And the more you practice it, the more natural it becomes. You start to see opportunities where you once saw obstacles. You start to notice blessings where you once noticed problems. And that shift changes everything. But I want to take this further because gratitude is powerful on its own. Yet, when you combine gratitude with visualization, you create a force that can literally shape your future. Visualization is the ability to see what doesn't exist yet, to imagine a reality that hasn't happened, and to live as if it's already real. And here's the secret: the brain doesn't know the difference between something vividly imagined and something actually experienced. If you can picture it clearly enough, your nervous system responds as if it's real. Think about athletes. The greatest performers in the world don't just train their bodies, they train their minds. They see the race before they run it. They imagine the crowd, the sound of the whistle, the feeling of their muscles exploding with energy. They rehearse the moment of victory in their minds so many times that by the time it happens, it feels inevitable. That's the power of visualization. And now imagine combining that with gratitude. Imagine waking up in the morning, starting your day by feeling thankful for everything you already have, and then stepping into the future in your mind as if the goals you're chasing are already here. You see yourself living in that new body, building that business, holding that relationship, making that impact. And instead of saying, someday, maybe, you thank you, it's already mine. That's not fantasy. That's programming your brain to expect and create the future you desire. Because here's the truth: your mind is like a GPS system. If you don't put in a destination, it will just wander aimlessly. But when you visualize your future daily, you set the destination, you give your brain clarity, and your subconscious mind begins working around the clock to find ways to get you there. Opportunities that you used to overlook suddenly stand out. Ideas flow to you. People appear who can help you. It's not magic, it's focus. But here's where most people go wrong. They visualize once, they feel good for a moment, and then they go right back to living in fear, stress, and self-doubt. Visualization without repetition is just daydreaming. Gratitude without daily practice is just wishful thinking. But when you do it every day, when you deliberately cultivate gratitude and visualize your future consistently, your nervous system begins to rewire itself. It becomes your natural state. I remember working with people who had nothing. I've seen people who lived in complete poverty, who had every reason to complain, and yet they practiced gratitude every single day. And you know what happened? Their energy attracted people. Their optimism created opportunities. They began to rise out of circumstances that others thought were impossible. Why? Because they chose to live in a different emotional state. Gratitude was their foundation, and visualization was their vision. And I've also seen people who had everything on the outside: money, success, recognition, but they were miserable because they never practiced gratitude. They never stopped to appreciate the blessings they already had. They lived in a state of emptiness, constantly chasing more, never satisfied. That's the difference. Gratitude is wealth. Gratitude is freedom. Gratitude is happiness. Without it, nothing will ever feel like enough. With it, you already have more than you could ever ask for. So here's what I want you to do every morning before you start your day. Take just a few minutes to practice gratitude. Close your eyes, breathe deeply, and ask yourself, what am I grateful for right now? Don't just think the answer, feel it. Feel it in your heart, in your body, in your entire being. And once you've saturated yourself with gratitude, step into the future in your mind. Visualize the life you're building, see it clearly, feel the emotions as if they're already real, and give thanks for it in advance. Because when you're grateful for something before it even happens, you're telling your mind that it's already done. And when you live in that state every single day, when you practice gratitude and visualization as a daily ritual, you stop being controlled by fear, you stop being trapped by your past. You begin to live as the creator of your destiny, not the victim of your circumstances. Knowledge without action is useless. Inspiration without action is wasted energy. Clarity without action is just a dream. You can read every book in the world, attend every seminar, listen to every motivational talk, but until you decide to act consistently, nothing in your life will change. Action is the bridge between where you are and where you want to be. Consistent action is the habit that separates those who live extraordinary lives from those who settle for mediocrity. The truth is, success is not about intensity once in a while. It's about consistency every single day. Anyone can get fired up for a moment. Anyone can write down their goals on January 1st with excitement. Anyone can feel motivated after hearing a powerful message. But what happens when the excitement fades? What happens when life throws you challenges, when you don't feel like it, when things get hard? That's where consistent action becomes the key, because it's not what you do once that changes your life. It's what you do every single day. Think about it. If you go to the gym once, do you get fit? Of course not. If you eat healthy for one meal, do you transform your body? No. But if you do it every single day, the compounding effect begins to take over. Small, consistent actions repeated daily create massive results over time. That's the power of momentum. It starts small, it feels invisible at first, but eventually it becomes unstoppable. Most people underestimate the power of daily action because they want instant results. And they want the breakthrough without the process. They want the victory without the discipline. But life doesn't work that way. The seeds you plant today will not give you fruit tomorrow. You have to water them, nurture them, protect them, and stay committed even when you can't see the results yet. Because the results will come, but only if you keep moving forward. The problem is most people let perfectionism stop them. They think they need the perfect plan, the perfect timing, the perfect conditions before they start. And because of that, they never start at all. Let me tell you something, you don't need perfect conditions. You need progress. You don't need the perfect plan, you need to just begin. Clarity comes from action, not from thought. The moment you take that first step, the next step begins to reveal itself. But if you sit around waiting, nothing changes. And here's the truth, it's not even about massive action all at once. It's about consistent, daily, simple actions. If you commit to improving yourself 1% every single day, in a year you're 37 times better than when you started. That's the math of growth. That's the power of compounding. Tiny, consistent actions add up to extraordinary transformation. So why don't most people do it? Why don't they take consistent action? It's not because they don't know what to do. Deep down, people know they should move their bodies, they should eat better, they should take steps toward their goals, they should save money, they should invest in themselves. The reason isn't knowledge. The reason is fear. Fear of failure, fear of rejection, fear of not being good enough. And here's what fear does, it paralyzes you, it keeps you stuck in your comfort zone. But the comfort zone is where dreams go to die. You cannot live an extraordinary life by staying safe. You have to take risks, you have to fail, you have to fall down and get back up. Consistent action is not about never failing. It's about failing forward, learning, adjusting, and continuing anyway. Every person you admire, every success story you've ever heard, is a story of someone who took consistent action in the face of fear. The secret is not to wait until you're fearless. The secret is to act even though you're afraid. Courage is not the absence of fear. It's deciding that something else matters more than your fear. And once you begin to act, something beautiful happens, momentum kicks in. You start to build confidence. Confidence doesn't come from affirmations alone. It comes from evidence. When you take action and you see progress, even if it's small, your brain begins to believe, yes, I can do this. And the more you act, the more confident you become. Confidence is built, not born. And remember this, action is not a one-time decision. It's a daily choice. Every morning you wake up with a choice to act or to delay, to create or to consume, to build or to procrastinate. And those small choices shape your destiny, because every action you take is a vote for the person you're becoming. If you want to change your identity, change your actions. If you want to see yourself as disciplined, then act with discipline daily. If you want to see yourself as a leader, then act like one every single day. Identity is built through consistent action. Let me give you an image. Imagine you're pushing a giant flywheel. At first, it barely moves. You put in all this effort, all this energy, and the progress is almost invisible. Most people give up here because they think the effort isn't worth it. But if you keep pushing, if you stay consistent, that flywheel starts to move faster and faster. Eventually, it has so much momentum that it spins on its own. That's what consistent action does in your life. At first, it's hard. At first, it feels like you're not moving forward. But if you stay the course, the momentum builds, and eventually you become unstoppable. And here's the key, you have to fall in love with the process, not just the outcome. If you're only motivated by the end result, you'll quit too soon, because results take time. But if you fall in love with the daily habit, the daily grind, the daily action, then you'll keep going long enough to see the breakthrough. Consistency is not about doing something once until it works. It's about doing it until it becomes who you are. So ask yourself right now, what's small, consistent action can you commit to every single day that will move you closer to your vision? Maybe it's writing one page a day if you want to write a book. Maybe it's making one sales call a day if you want to grow your business. Maybe it's spending 10 minutes a day connecting deeply with your partner if you want to transform your relationship. It doesn't have to be huge, it just has to be consistent, because success is not built in a day. Success is built daily. Every action you take is either moving you closer to the life you want or further away from it. Every day you delay, you're reinforcing the habit of procrastination. Every day you act, you're reinforcing the habit of growth. Which one do you want to build? And don't think you have to see the whole staircase. You don't. You just have to take the next step. That next step will reveal the one after it. Life is not about having the entire path figured out. It's about trusting that if you keep moving forward, the path will unfold. The universe rewards action. Life responds to movement. Nothing happens until you act. So don't wait for the perfect moment because it will never come. Don't wait until you're ready because you'll never feel fully ready. Start where you are with what you have and do what you can, and then do it again tomorrow, and the day after that, and the day after that. Consistency is the difference between those who dream and those who live their dreams. What you feed will grow. What you starve will die. That's a truth of life most people overlook, yet it determines everything about the quality of your existence. If you feed your fears every day, they grow stronger. If you feed your doubts, your insecurities, your excuses, they will dominate your life. But if you feed your faith, your courage, your vision, your hunger to grow, those qualities expand and begin to shape the life you truly want. Your mind and spirit are like a garden. If you don't cultivate them, weeds will take over. If you don't plant intentionally, something else will plant for you. The world is constantly feeding you. Every headline you read, every conversation you have, every show you watch, every post you scroll through, all of it is food for your mind and spirit. The question is, what are you consuming? Is it empowering you or weakening you? Is it making you stronger or making you smaller? Because whatever you consume, consciously or unconsciously, becomes the soil of your beliefs. And your beliefs create your destiny. Think about it. If you wake up every morning and the first thing you feed your mind is fear from the news, negativity from social media, or gossip from people around you, what kind of emotional state do you think you're going to live in? You will live in fear, negativity, and scarcity. But if you feed your mind with empowering thoughts, with books that elevate you, with mentors who challenge you, with voices that remind you of your potential, your spirit begins to rise. You begin to see possibilities where you once only saw problems. You begin to expect progress instead of expecting failure. The truth is, most people guard their phones more carefully than they guard their minds. They set passwords on their devices, but leave the door wide open for negativity, doubt, and disempowering beliefs to enter their inner world. You have to reverse that. You have to become the gatekeeper of your mind. You decide what gets in. You decide what influences you. Because your mind is the most valuable real estate you'll ever own, and you cannot afford to let weeds take root there. So how do you feed your mind and spirit daily? You start by choosing your environment deliberately. Who do you spend time with? Because energy is contagious. If you spend your time around people who are constantly complaining, blaming, gossiping, and living small, you will begin to absorb their energy whether you want to or not. But if you surround yourself with people who are hungry, who are positive, who are solution-oriented, who push you to grow, that energy will elevate you. You don't rise to your goals, you fall to the level of your standards, and your standards are shaped by the people you surround yourself with. Your environment is stronger than your willpower. If you put yourself in a toxic environment every day, no matter how strong you think you are, eventually it will pull you down. But if you design your environment to feed your spirit, you won't have to fight so hard to stay motivated. Growth will become natural. That's why you must surround yourself with books, podcasts, courses, mentors, and communities that remind you of your greatness and keep you aligned with your vision. And it's not just what you consume intellectually, it's also what you feed your soul. Your spirit needs nourishment just as much as your body does. That means making time for silence, for reflection, for prayer, for meditation, for whatever practice reconnects you with your deepest self. Because if you don't feed your spirit, the world will drain it. And when your spirit is empty, no amount of external success will satisfy you. You'll be chasing achievement after achievement, but you'll still feel a void inside. Fulfillment doesn't come from the outside, it comes from feeding the inside. You see, the human mind is like a sponge. It absorbs whatever it's exposed to. If you leave a sponge in dirty water, it soaks it up. If you place it in clean water, it absorbs purity. The same goes for your mind. If you leave it soaking in negativity, it will get heavy, weighed down, toxic. But if you soak it in gratitude, in inspiration, in wisdom, in learning, in possibility, it becomes light, energized, and ready to create. The choice is yours every single day. What will you soak your mind in? And here's the catch. You don't get to feed your mind and spirit once in a while and expect lasting change. Just like your body needs daily food, your mind and spirit need daily nourishment. If you skip a meal, you might be okay for a while, but eventually you'll weaken. If you skip feeding your mind, if you go days or weeks without filling yourself with growth, positivity, and vision, your inner strength will weaken too. Consistency matters here as much as it does in any other area of life. So let me ask you, what are you listening to? What are you watching? Who are you talking to? What thoughts are you rehearsing in your mind? Because repetition is the mother of skill, but it's also the mother of belief. Whatever you repeat daily, you will eventually believe, If you keep telling yourself you're not enough, if you keep focusing on how hard life is, if you keep feeding yourself scarcity, that will become your reality. But if you keep repeating empowering thoughts, if you keep focusing on gratitude, if you keep feeding yourself visions of what's possible, that becomes your reality. And I'll tell you something else, feeding your mind and spirit is not just about protecting yourself from negativity. It's also about deliberately pursuing greatness. It's about stretching your imagination, expanding your vision, studying those who have done what you want to do, and absorbing their strategies and beliefs. Because success leaves clues. If you feed your mind with the wisdom of those who've already achieved greatness, you'll begin to model their patterns and create similar results in your own life. The challenge is most people feed themselves junk food for the mind. Just like you can't expect to be healthy if all you eat is processed, sugary, empty calories, you can't expect to have a strong, empowered, focused mind if you're constantly consuming gossip, distractions, and mindless entertainment. There's nothing wrong with entertainment once in a while, but if that's your diet, your mind will starve. You need nutrient-rich content, books that challenge you, conversations that inspire you, practices that ground you, and teachings that expand you. And here's what's beautiful: the more you feed your mind and spirit with the right things, the more you begin to crave them. Just like when you start eating healthy, your body starts to crave clean food instead of junk. When you start feeding your mind with wisdom and inspiration, your soul begins to crave growth instead of drama, vision instead of fear, courage instead of comfort. It becomes your new normal. And let's be real, you can't expect to feed yourself negativity all day long and then somehow turn around and live an extraordinary life. Life doesn't work that way. Your input shapes your output. If you want extraordinary results, you have to give your mind and spirit extraordinary nourishment. So every day, make it a ritual to feed yourself something that elevates you. Maybe it's 10 minutes of reading a powerful book in the morning. Maybe it's listening to an inspiring message on your commute instead of scrolling through nonsense. Maybe it's writing down your goals and visualizing them as if they're already real. Maybe it's spending time with someone who lifts you higher instead of someone who drags you down. Those little choices are not little at all. They are shaping the entire direction of your life. Because at the end of the day, you don't rise to the level of your intentions. You fall to the level of your habits. And if you make it a habit to feed your mind and spirit with strength, vision, and gratitude every single day, you will not only live differently, you will think differently, you will believe differently, you will act differently, and eventually you will create a life that others call extraordinary, but for you becomes simply normal. So here we are. We've talked about the 4 habits that can change your life forever. The power of shifting your state daily, because the way you feel in the moment determines how you show up in the world. The practice of gratitude and visualization, because when you live in gratitude and see your future as if it's already here, you unlock a force that destroys fear and builds certainty. The discipline of taking consistent action, because knowledge without action is useless, and daily steps compound into a massive transformation. And finally, the necessity of feeding your mind and spirit, because what you consume, what you surround yourself with, what you allow into your inner world, will either limit you or liberate you. And here's the truth: none of this is theory. None of this is optional. These are the habits that determine whether you live as the architect of your destiny or as the victim of your circumstances. The difference between those who settle and those who soar is not luck, it's not talent, it's not even timing, it's habits. Because habits create your state, your beliefs, your actions, and ultimately your results. The question is, what will you do with this? Will you let this just be another moment of inspiration, another video you watch, another note you take, or will you make the decision right here, right now, to turn these 4 habits into rituals that shape the rest of your life? Because life doesn't change in years, life doesn't even change in months. Life changes in moments. The moment you make a decision. And this could be that moment for you. The moment you decide you're done living on autopilot. The moment you decide you're done waiting for circumstances to change. The moment you decide to step up, to own your power, to take control of your state, your gratitude, your action, and your mind. If you want an extraordinary life, it starts here. It starts today. It starts with you making the choice to live in a peak state, to live with gratitude, to act with consistency, to feed your spirit with strength and possibility. You already have everything you need inside of you. What you need now is the discipline to use it, the courage to commit to it, and the hunger to never stop growing. This is your time. This is your life. Don't wait for permission. Don't wait for perfect. Don't wait for someday. Start now. Because the habits you build today are shaping the destiny you'll live tomorrow.